So thank you to UKNOF today for the opportunity to present here in my hometown. We brought the weather for you today, typical Manchester weather. I think you'll agree in that weather. It's stunning out there and the skyline is absolutely fantastic. So what I'm going to talk to you today about, I'm going to talk to you about LINX, and specifically LINX in Manchester, our recent expansions into MA5, and about what LINX is doing in the community and what we see in the community, and also ask you for some feedback on that as well, because you guys are part of that community. So the LINX story. As we said yesterday, you probably know who LINX are, but it's always good to have a refresher, and our marketing team insisted on having these slides in. So LINX are now a leading global exchange with a very good reputation, and we're constantly asked to help. We're established in 1994. We have 5 London-based networks. We're a not-for-profit membership organisation, and it was established originally to stop traffic tromboning from the UK to the US and back. We also established the first international exchange in Northern Virginia. So we've got 2 lands in London, as well as numerous regional lands which run in different ways. Some are powered by LINX, some are partners of LINX, and some are fully run by LINX. And there's just there's the exchanges that we are present in throughout the globe. If you want to ask me about any specific one, you can do, but today we're going to talk about Manchester. So that's just some stats about our overall traffic. Those are all published on the website. So LINX Manchester, that's what I'm here to talk about today. We're over 10 years old. We were launched in 2012, around about the time when when the BBC moved to Media City, and we now have a physical presence in 5 sites across the city. There's a good mix of content providers and access and networks present at the exchange, and the availability metrics are absolutely fantastic and are above what are expected. Resilience is a huge feature, and when we talk about the deployment to MA5, this is reflected in the topology of our two route servers in the exchange. Who do we support in the network in Manchester? The majority is the typical wholesale marketplace, as you know, but we do also have enterprise markets in there and some partner networks, and we'll talk about them in a minute. What can you do at Manchester LINX? Obviously you can peer. We offer private VLAN, closed user groups, and coming very soon is Microsoft Azure peering service, not to be confused with ExpressRoute. Here we have the networks in Manchester. Won't go through them all, but there's over 100 now connected into Manchester, and now our peak traffic levels are over 300 gigabits, and that's regular. So what are we seeing in the community in Manchester? So the pandemic created a huge demand. A lot of the big content delivery networks expanded their network in Manchester. But we also started to see a change in the trends for who was looking to peer in Manchester. We'll see a couple of those further on in the slides as well. That demand hasn't slowed. And although we see members leave, we're still seeing a net growth in Manchester. And hopefully that will continue. So the pandemic enhanced the demand, but one thing has been stopping us slightly, and I think that'll show in what we're talking about in a minute. Space in Manchester was at a premium. So we've got all the tech industries, we've got all the investment coming to Manchester, but you just couldn't get co-location space. Thankfully that's changed. This isn't all about Equinix, it's about our whole network. I'll explain the Equinix network just because that's the last deployed one. But we've also partnerships with Teledata, who have recently been acquired and expanded, M247 acquired and expanded, Equinix expanded. We're also seeing Atlas Edge building out near the same site as Equinix MA5. So, how did we build out the MA5 expansion? So, MA5 is an Equinix site. It's not actually in Manchester. It's based out in Salford. It's about 3 miles from here. It's northwest of Manchester, so it's got excellent connectivity. And we had demand for MA5 before we even decided we were going there. So it made sense that we built out the LINX Manchester network there. So Equinix provided fibres back to Telecity Williams, as we used to know it, now MA1, and Telecity Dual, or MA3. And our kit installation for this site was done in 2 days in January, earlier in this year. That should be 2023. The pre-planning we did on this and the way we plan it at LINX means that we already had the kit in place, so we didn't suffer any delays to our planned deployment and always delivered on time. Once we had the kit and the kit and the space available, the next step was the configuration of the network. The build then is still completely isolated from the LINX network. We then did several steps of maintenance required to bring the MA5 live without disruption. The new site on the topology now sits between MA1 and MA3, which previously was directly joined, and it replaces the direct link between the sites. The final step to bring that online was to increase the OSPF costs on the old link to allow the traffic to flow around the network. We deployed a disaggregated network solution. A lot of you will know that anyway, because from our LON2 build. It's edge core networked hardware, IP infusion software. We built it in a leaf and spine topology. We used smart optics for running the optical transport. The maintenance involved went smoothly, and there was absolutely no impact to existing members in deploying that new site into the peering LAN. There's a little. This is all available online. You probably won't be able to see it particularly well on the screen, but that's the architecture for MA5, and then you'll see how it sits into the LAN as a whole. So it's in between the two Equinix sites on the left-hand side of the slide. Why is LINX Manchester important to LINX? It's home to Manchester, as we know, is home to a 5 billion digital ecosystem. It raised record funds in 2022 and is outperforming a lot of the larger cities in Europe. Jobs in the tech sector have climbed by 67% since 2020. There's over 3,000 e-commerce and related businesses in Manchester. The data center expansion in Equinix and Teledata and the new Atlas Edge facility will cope with that demand, and more than cope with that demand when you look at what's available. So LINX Manchester in 2023, what are we going to do? So far we've seen some big activity. ByteDance, or TikTok as they're known to my kids, and then probably my kids that drove this, dropped 200 gig into Manchester early on in the year. And we're seeing some new members and new types of members. So Lancashire County Council joined in February with a 10 gig connection. What was interesting about that was the cost of LINX was so cost effective that they didn't even have to put a business case together. So the worries about how long it would take to actually deploy that were gone. Falex, I don't think Marek's here today, but I'll give him a shout out anyways. A first connections reseller available in MA5. And we've got other resellers. We've seen a flurry of new reseller types. Stelia have put a 100 gig reseller port in, and they're working to bring hubs in Liverpool, Chester and Nottingham into the exchange. We've got a healthy pipeline in the team. We will be hosting LINX 119 here in Manchester in May. And along with Tom Hill, we will be revamping the LINX Manchester Steering Committee in the near future as well, and looking to push Manchester on again and get those stats up again. If you want to know more, grab me, come see me. Thank you very much for listening. Has anybody got any questions?
Thank you very much, Colin. Great talk. Well done.
Thank you.
Have to say. Any questions in the room?